What do you think about the conversation this week? Again, Turp normally on Wednesdays. I want some thoughts on your jury duty coming up.
Oh, yeah, were you a guilty,
first
not
time
guilty guy?
you performed your civic duty, is that right?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
And they showed a whole 25-minute video, and yeah, very underwhelming, the whole entire experience.
I want your thoughts on the experience as a first-time juror there, or a member in the doing your jury duty. But let's start with the commentary around Jayson Tatum this week. And he started it. Like, you can say we're overreacting to something. Yeah. Tatum was the one who said he feels underappreciated. Is that fair? Is Jayson Tatum underappreciated?
Yeah, I think so. I do think so. I mean, every time the conversation with Jayson Tatum is about what he's not doing, what he hasn't done, and when it's not about the play on the court, it's about how he acts off the court. And it's just so bizarre, all the discourse surrounding him. And one thing I really keep going back to is when Jaylen Brown was named Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and ESPN was showing this graphic, and they were trying to push this narrative that Tatum was upset about it and that he was mad that Jaylen had won Eastern Conference Finals MVP, yet they highlight Jayson smiling and clapping as they announced Jaylen as the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. So, I don't know, just all the discussions around Jayson, especially at a national level, are pretty bizarre, and this is kind of on course.
It's funny because there was so much about, they got to win it, they got to win it, they got to win it. Then they win it, and then they're still coming up with ways to sort of poke holes. I think he's pretty fairly rated, though. We had a caller yesterday suggest, well, what about Steve Kerr and Team USA? And I'd be like, okay, then that's a good one. That's a good example of maybe he wasn't properly respected. He was really good on the Olympic team before. He just won a title. He was the best player on a title team, all that, and he doesn't really play. But don't you think he's unanimously a top 5 player in the league? Everybody would say he's a top 5 player, and maybe he's not a true number 1, number 2, MVP candidate. He's not Jokic. I don't think that's an insult, though. I think, you're a top 5 player. That's pretty good.
I mean, yeah, he's been first-team All-NBA 3 years in a row now. He's about to turn 27. What he's doing at such a young age is really incredible. I mean, 5 Eastern Conference Finals appearances in 7 years, 2 NBA Finals appearances, and he won one. And when you're just looking at when he won the finals, right, doing it at 26, he's on pace with just about all these other superstars and legends that you talk about, like Kevin Durant, Michael Jordan, Steph Curry. They all won them around the same time, between 26 and 28, and that's when Tatum just won it. So he's on pace, and it's just he's been so consistent, every single year, and I think people lose sight of this. They're playing into late May, early June every single year. They're in the Eastern Conference Finals. And, yes, it took them longer than people would have expected and hoped for them to get over the hump. But when they finally did it, he's still only 27 years old.
Yeah, I guess my pushback on the whole, Tatum's underappreciated is that's the way it goes with superstars in the NBA. I don't think it's any different for him than it is for anybody else. You're saying, well, why does he get this unfair criticism? LeBron was just talking about this, the weird energy in the NBA. LeBron is far more accomplished than Tatum. LeBron still gets far more criticism than Jayson Tatum. Durant's gotten tons of criticism. We've talked about Jokic, and we both think Giannis is a loser. The guy's won 2 MVPs and a championship. So I just don't think that's unique at all to Tatum. I don't think it's specific to Tatum. If you want to say, the weird energy to channel LeBron in the sport is off, well, then fine. But I would point you to a bunch of quarterbacks who have won Super Bowls that I also think stink. And so I think NBA superstars and quarterbacks is kind of the same. That's the way it goes. I don't think it's unique to Tatum. I don't think it's specifically about Tatum. I just think that's how we talk about superstars in the NBA. He's one of them. So he's got to deal with, having thick skin and the blowback that they tend to get, including, Keefe, you brought him up, his hero Kobe. Tons of criticism after he had already won 3 championships, all with Shaq. He loses Shaq. It's what are you going to do without Shaq? What have you done without Kobe? Got tons of it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good point because that is how the NBA superstars are viewed. It's oftentimes in a negative tone, and that's just the way it is. Like you said, LeBron, I mean, that guy gets so much right here. Exhibit A.
Yeah, Keefe.
LeBron gets a lot.
Not my goat.
He's not even Keefe's goat.
Not my goat. I think part of it, too, is just where they get discussed, both from media and fans, right? If you just go through, NBA Twitter and you're, going through what people are saying, everybody is either going to be overrated or underrated, right? How come nobody's talking about Chris Middleton, right? Chris Middleton was the most underrated player until it flipped, and then he became a little bit overrated or maybe just washed. Whereas all the superstars, everybody pokes holes because you always are comparing them to somebody else, right? So that's one of LeBron's issues. He's always getting compared to Jordan. And then all the guys that are in the league now are getting compared to LeBron, meaning all right, well, how come you don't have multiple regular season MVPs combined with multiple titles and all this other stuff, and you can only really do one thing at a time.
And it feels like that's part of the problem with the NBA coverage at large, right? And it starts at the top where it's all comparisons. It's always, this person's better than this person. It's all hot takes, right? There's not really any breaking down the game and stuff. And even when they are, it's usually in a negative tone. Like, I keep going back, I think it was to the TNT game when the Celtics were on TNT a couple weeks ago. It might have been in that Lakers stretch. I forget who they were playing, but they were breaking down to Peyton Pritchard corner 3, and he was wide open. And they were like upset that he took the corner 3 that was open.
Like Mazzulla would have killed him if he didn't.
It's so weird. Yeah. Like, you don't play in the Celtics offense if you don't take the open shot. So what do you want him to do?
See Jaden Springer.
But that's just part of, and Xavier Tillman.
Yeah,
who's just completely fallen out of the rotation now. But that's just part of it. Just like the whole entire coverage about the NBA kind of centers around those hot takes and those debates, and that's part of the issue.
Yeah, it's personality-driven sport, which, again, I think there's some overlap with quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, you're well compensated for a reason because you're well-known and, some of it's personality-based. I think Tatum has borderline no personality, which works against him in these debates. But I think that is the way we talk about those sports. I wouldn't disagree with that. Why do you think Tatum is sitting down with Michael Lee of the Washington Post, of all people? Like, where'd that come from? And why does he need to get this bitch and complaint out there? Why is he complaining about it?
I just think that's how he really feels. I think he really does feel that way. And maybe deep down he thought after winning a championship it'd be a little bit different, and it hasn't changed at all.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
What are they going to say now? And then he's like, wait, they're still saying stuff?
They're not going to stop talking.
Yeah.
Like, and you guys keep going back to LeBron. You're right. Like, LeBron has been in the league forever.
The man needs a history lesson.
But
Tatum needs a history lesson.
People have never shut up about it, right? Like, that's the thing. It's these great players, and I guess it's better to be talked about than not, right? Like, the reason why people are on Tatum at all is because he is this good.
Right.
No one's, like, talking about, where Derek White compared, not even a shot at him, but just like where he compares to other guys from where were they at age 27 and all this. Like, no. We're talking about the best players in the league right now. But I don't know. I guess he probably did assume that after winning a title, everybody should just shut up.
And now, even in like recent conversations, SGA has suddenly passed Jayson Tatum.
Okay,
he hasn't had nearly as much success.
So there is some of that.
So I think this is part of why Tatum's pissed. I think some of it goes back to, I know you dismissed it, Turp, Jalen winning Eastern Conference Final MVP, which Tatum won in 02, or 22 rather, and Jalen winning Finals MVP. I think there's some of that. And I also think it's the SGA stuff, right? So the text line. How come SGA is higher rated, I think that's MVP, than Tatum? Well, I don't know. His team won head-to-head. That's only one game. His team has won more games. Was he first team All-NBA last year? I think he was.
Probably. Yeah.
And he's averaging 32 a game. Like, is it crazy to put SGA in front of Tatum?
No, but I'm talking like when you're comparing like career arcs.
Right.
Because that's what most of these conversations have been surrounding. People are putting SGA in front of Jayson Tatum, which is just wrong. I mean, right now, when you're talking in the short term, the MVP of this year,
that's Tatum's gripe. If that's Tatum's gripe, not the MVP race, but just like face of the league, if SGA and Anthony Edwards are jumping Tatum,
because that was sort of annoying. Like, he was great. Don't get me wrong, but it was like that's the other kind of thing with Turp's point about everyone's looking for the hot take. I think just saying like, "Hey, it's Tatum's time." It's like, all right, maybe that's too obvious. So then you pivot to like, who's going to be the next guy? Who's going to pass him now? It's like, well, who's going to pass him? Who already has? It's SGA. And you're like, all right, well, I don't know if the Thunder are there yet. The Thunder seem kind of like the Celtics from 3 years ago more than anything else.
The thing has got like the whole conversation has gotten so ridiculous. People pivot to the word aura to argue why Anthony Edwards is better than Jayson Tatum, deserves to be more of the face of the league. Yeah. Like,
he lost some aura complaining about double teams. Yeah. Edwards lost me there.
So he doesn't want to pass the ball.
Right.
Meanwhile, Jayson Tatum's averaging career high in assists and is really taking a whole nother leap as a playmaker. But
so tonight, big game with the Cavs. So it'll be their last matchup of the regular season against Cleveland. They're 2-1 so far. I think we all acknowledge Cleveland is the second best team. They're the best record, but they're the second best team in the Eastern Conference. When you look at all the different possible matchups, is it also the toughest playoff matchup, or do you think there's a team that might present a tougher matchup in the East?
Yeah, I would still say Cleveland, though I don't see anyone in the Eastern Conference beating the Celtics. No. But I mean, when you're looking at Cleveland, they're 48-10. Like, this team is having a historical year, and I'm really excited to see tonight with DeAndre Hunter and how that mixes things up. And he's been coming off the bench in Cleveland, which is kind of interesting because you go out and trade a guy and that's a direct. You have eyes on Boston when you make that move, and you're trying to slow down Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So it's kind of interesting that he is coming off the bench when you're looking at it that way. So I'll be interested to see how they deploy him tonight, and if by come playoff time he's in the starting lineup, that'll be something to watch. But I mean, this means a lot for the Celtics tonight, as much as it means for Cleveland. They're on an 8-game win streak, and obviously they've had their struggles against teams in the upper echelon. They're 1-2 against Boston. They're 1-1 against OKC. So this means a lot for Cleveland, but it also means a lot for Boston. And the Celtics will never come out and explicitly say that they're looking to make a statement, but they're definitely looking to make one tonight.
But it's that, right? It's that they would make a statement, prove to the Cavs they own them for a rematch, because they're not realistically going to get the 1 seed. That's not at stake.
No, I don't think the 1 seed. Cleveland's not going to drop 7 in 24 games or whatever's left. It's just, I don't see that happening, and I don't think they're really worried about the 1 seed.
I wouldn't be afraid going into what the hell do they call that? Or it's not Gund Arena anymore. What do they even call it?
Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah, going in there for game set like that wouldn't
Celtics
scare.
also better on the road.
They've been better on the
that
road.
too.
They prefer it.
I don't think the Celtics need it, but when we say what's at stake, it's a big game. That's what it is. It's a measuring stick game. Can Cleveland? Can they match or split the season series with the Celtics? That sort of thing. And the Cavs need to prove it to themselves more than the Celtics, I think.
And if you're Cleveland, right, being 3-3 against Boston and OKC looks a lot better than 2-4.
So, they're on pace for 68 wins.
Yeah,
the Cavs.
That's crazy.
That's got to be a franchise record, right? I should probably have known this.
Yeah,
but
Mark Price, Craig Elo. I don't think we're hitting that number. They were good. Brad Daugherty, but did LeBron ever get there? I mean, they had some good Cleveland teams, obviously.
68's a lot.
68
I
is
feel
a
like
ton.
all those LeBron teams won
66 is their franchise.
I feel like
they
all
only
those
had 2 60-win seasons.
All those LeBron teams were. I don't even think they got the 1 seed that often. They were like, whatever, we'll be the 2. We'll still win the East.
I think Hot Rod Williams was on one of those teams, or Larry Nance.
Good question.
Ron Harper. He was a good early Cav.
Larry Nance Senior, you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's
not
Junior.
Junior went to Wyoming.
Yeah,
and
right.
could dunk from the
But
three-point
wasn't
line.
Nance Jr. also on those late Cav teams with LeBron?
Maybe.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Rich family legacy. You want to get into that team? Eric Snow,
Matthew Dellavedova.
Oh, Dellavedova.
Hey, Eric
Delly.
Snow.
Eric
Great
Snow
pull.
was on the first team that LeBron dragged to the finals, wasn't he? With like Larry Hughes, Zildjius Ilgauskas.
Eric Snow was on that team? Are you thinking of Iverson and Eric Snow?
LeBron James.
Eric Snow?
Eric Snow.
Is that a thumbs up? Joe Braverman has given some kind of thumbs up. That's a
Hell
yes.
yeah, Braverman.
Okay, my mistake.
Yeah.
Eric Snow, what a player.
You're talking to us?
Finals
Snowman.
Finals with Iverson.
Fire and Ice at Michigan State with Sean Respert.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about his first go round in Cleveland when they lost to the Spurs.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking
That's
about
what Big
other
Z
teams.
was on.
Yeah. Well, Big Z might have still been there when they went back later.
He might have been.
Yeah.
He's a tall guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, Turp. The Lakers have a 4-game winning streak. They're only a game and a half out of the 2 seed in the Western Conference. Where do you stand on the Lakers and any possible Celtics-Lakers NBA finals?
Yeah, they look great, but they'd still have to go through Denver, through Oklahoma City. That Western Conference is tough, man.
It is.
So whoever does get to the NBA Finals out of the West, it's
gonna be good.
They're gonna be pretty good. Obviously, getting there, but obviously who they're gonna have to beat to get there is another thing. So they look great, and I'm excited. That's next Saturday.
Oh, it is?
Lakers.
Yeah.
Lakers have played very well. How do you think Luka looks? He still doesn't look right to me.
Yeah, he still doesn't look right. But remember, he was out for a while before. He got traded to LA because he got hurt on Christmas. Was
Talking
out
about Luka
for a little
Doncic?
while.
Luka
Luka
Doncic,
Doncic.
yes.
Yeah. He did look good the other night against Dallas, though. It took him a little bit to get going. I know he didn't shoot great from the field, but he had his first triple-double. He's had kind of sidekicks in Dallas, but not like LeBron.
This was my thing with that. I was like, how quick is it going to come together? And honestly, I think the team stuff is coming together quicker than I expected in LA. I wasn't sure how him and LeBron would play off each other. He still hasn't looked great to me, but you're right. He's probably still playing his way into shape, which he's been doing basically his entire career. How was jury duty?
It was good. It was kind of boring, to be honest. Just kind of sat there.
Yeah, I've done jury duty now. I've been called to do it 3 times.
Wow.
The last time I called the night before, and like my range of numbers, I didn't have to show up the next day. But my first, I did my first 2 both at like Suffolk Superior, and it's a lot of sitting around.
Dude, I've only been called once, and then it was what you just said. I called the night before, and they're like, you're good.
You didn't have to,
I've never actually
You've never actually gone and sat there and watched the video? Did they
Oh,
wheel
yeah,
out like,
I watched the video.
Did they wheel out like an AV cart for you? I feel like that's what they do.
No, they had like a projector, actually.
Ooh, a projector?
Modern. Yeah, we're
Was it
modernizing
4K?
this thing.
Wait, that's not modern, is it?
Yeah,
A projector?
More than
Overhead
wheeling out
projector?
a TV.
Big
Whatever
box
you just
TV.
implied.
No, so what happened was
I don't think that's neither of those are very modern.
No,
I might jinx myself, but we were talking about. I think Scheim had jury duty.
They're listening right now. You're gonna get one in the mail tomorrow.
No joke. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Scheim was talking about it. I was like, I've never had it. The next day in the mail, it was one waiting for me. And it was like, 2 months from now, you have jury duty.
Was your home address for a while New Hampshire?
Oh, it hasn't been for a long time.
It hasn't been? Okay.
Yeah, no, not for a long time. So, yeah, just somehow.
How did you get out of jury duty for this long?
That's pretty good.
Maybe
I mean, I'm good for 3 years, they said.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Con for 3 years once you get in there.
I'm a third.
You're a third.
Yes, maybe that's
I got
how.
a buddy of mine who's convinced that because he was also a third, that it goes to his father before him.
Oh,
Nice.
maybe.
Like
Yeah,
how many
but
times has your dad been called? Do you know off the top of your head?
good. More than once, probably. But that's also New Hampshire. He's in New Hampshire. I'm in Massachusetts, so I don't know if that's a difference.
And
but
you were going to get picked for a jury, is that correct?
I believe so.
You were
I mean, they made it sound
actually
that
going to
way.
be a juror.
Wow. Yeah, I don't even know. Like, are we even allowed to talk about this? They
don't know.
made it sound like I wasn't supposed to.
Hey,
I
you were
don't
there,
really
not
know.
me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Were you watching the video or not? You tell
I
us.
was
I'm just
watching
asking
the
the questions
video, but I
over
wasn't
here.
taking notes.
Yeah. So the couple of times that I've done jury duty, by the time I was there, I'm like, I hope I get picked for this jury.
might as well.
I don't want to do like a week-long trial or anything like that, but like, yeah, I'll go in there.
You're
and
already there.
I'll make some decisions. Yeah, I'm
Might as
already
well.
here. I've already wasted the whole day.
They throw you like a per diem.
I think if you get picked onto a jury, you do get some sort of per diem. Yeah,
Like a little bit.
I think so.
They left that
No,
part.
I'm
After
sorry,
a
like,
week-
that wasn't
I
in
think
the
after
video.
a week, you get like $50 a day.
Is that all?
I think so.
I thought it was even if
couple
you're on for
coffees.
like a couple of days. I thought you got paid for
like
it,
your
but maybe
employer
not.
has to pay for the first 3, I think,
Oh,
and then
boy.
you get
Somebody's paying you.
Yeah, somebody's paying. you.
Yeah, I'm getting paid somehow. I'm coming out ahead on this one somehow.
What if Turp's on the Karen Reed trial?
No, the judge
You'd have
walked
to be
in
on
and
Greg Hill's show every
specifically
day.
said that wasn't the case.
Oh, he did?
No, they made it clear. They're
That's
like, this
actually-
is a one-day thing. This isn't a Karen Reed thing.
Okay.
Wow.
That's what they
Nice.
said. Yeah.
How about that?
So they made it pretty clear.
Jinx.
Jinx.
So when it comes to Pure Hoops with Turp, we also get good life advice as well with the jury duty there. So good stuff from Turp. Who you got winning tonight?
I got the Celtics.
Celtics
I like them
win.
on the 2.5. That's a small line.
Very good.
By the way, one more quick one on the Pistons. Are they? Not that they're going to beat the Celtics in a series, but I wouldn't want to face that team in a playoff, like a first-round playoff matchup. I wouldn't want that team.
No, I wrote it the other day for weei.com. The team really looks like they can win a first-round playoff series. They're really young, but they have a nice, healthy balance of some veteran presence in there. So, I mean, they get in there and you just play inspired basketball in the playoffs. Like, really anything can go. So, I wouldn't want to see that team in the first round. It is pretty incredible what they've done in this turnaround, right? Like, they've already matched their win total from the last 2 years.
Crazy.
In this season alone.
Wait, is that true?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
They were horrible.
There was
last
a crazy
2 years.
graphic on NBC Sports Boston the other day where they have like the 6th highest win percentage increase in NBA history.
Yeah.
It's like the 07-08 Celtics. It was like Bird's rookie year. It was like crazy, or maybe Bird's second year. It was crazy.
They haven't won 8 games in a row since, like 2010, I think it was? Something ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't want that team. And look, the Celtics would beat them, but I just wouldn't want to mess around with a team like that in the postseason. But really, who are we talking about in the Eastern Conference? It's the Celtics. It's maybe the Cavs. And it's nobody else. Turp, we appreciate the Pure Hoops. Usually Wednesdays. Had to move because of jury duty this week. I will talk to you next week. Thanks so much.
All right.